Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Editor Neba coming to you from the future once again. Welcome to part one of a very special episode of the podcast in which all four of us hosts get together and we now disclose our current top 10 board games according to us, what we like, and all that other fun stuff. The discussion ended up being about an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes long, so rather than subjecting you to all of that in one hit, we've decided to break it up into two podcasts. This is the first part of it where we will be going through board games number 10 through number 6 on each of our lists, and then we will release in a few days' time part 2 of that. So, without any further ado, welcome to our top 10 board games of 2022. What do you reckon? Should we get into it?
Let's go.
All right, well, let's get into it. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Board Game Gateway podcast, where we have 3 meeples and 1 werewolf. We'll let you be the deciding vote for that one tonight. But if this is the first time listening to the podcast, you're in for a real treat, as we are bringing for you our top 10 lists. But also, if this is your first time listening, it doesn't really help that you don't know who we are. So, my name is Neba, and I am the host. Shut up! Try something different tonight. I'm Neba, and I'm the host who gets laughed at very much so by my 3 lovely co-hosts sitting around the table with me. We have Mr. Blake.
Hello.
We have Mr. Ralph.
Hi, everyone.
And Mrs. Matt.
Yeehaw! Trying something new.
Yeah. Well, that's why I introduced Blake first now. So,
you got to have that consistency.
Exactly right. We don't want that to happen. But as we said, this is going to be the top 10 episode. So we are going to be going through our top 10 games, starting from number 10 and working our way down to number 1. But before we get to that, guys, it's been a hot minute since we've recorded. I mean, I know this is we took a week off last week. Mm-hmm. But before that, we actually haven't recorded for, nearly 3 weeks now?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
I've been playing heaps of games during that time. Actually, excited to talk about that another time, I think.
yeah, and so same here as well. We went away to Queensland for a week during the school holiday, so we were away for that. We've also had a few sicknesses, COVID in the group, and all the like. So we decided to actually, as you said, Ralph, take a bit of a break and play some games. And actually, I think it was really good. I feel really refreshed, and we actually had a chance to play quite a few games out there. But Blake, I know I'm just gonna pass this to you very quickly because the people want to know, is the hello stale? Is it still fresh? Are we feeling good at the moment?
It's feeling stale. It is. I need something new,
but not stale enough to pass it to Matt, I'm assuming.
Look, you wouldn't want to soil it.
All right.
All I can say is something's in the works.
Oh, really?
Oh no! Anticipation.
He's got the marketing team on it.
Stay tuned.
Oh god! All right, so we said that this is going to be the top 10, so we're not going to. There's going to be no Gateway Game of the Week this week, because we suspect that this one could go long anyway. So we're going to get straight into it, guys. What do you reckon?
Yes, yeah, I just want to point out that this is our top 10 games. It's all our opinion. It's all our personal top 10 games. They may not necessarily be gateway games, but these are games that we love, we enjoy, and we just want to play more and more and more of these games.
Absolutely. We do have a top 10 gateway game list coming soon. That's going to be in another special episode, so look forward to that. But this one is to kind of give you a bit more of an insight into our personalities, I think, what the games we really enjoy if you haven't really picked that up, and kind of gives you an idea of that. So, without any more further ado and any more rambling on my part, we're going to get into number 10, starting with Ralph.
Oh, starting with me.
Oh, yeah. Look, I was just throw you in there.
All right, put me in the deep end. Let's do it. So my number 10 game is Nemesis.
Ooh.
Wasn't on my list.
It was on mine.
So just to stipulate that, we all tried guessing each other's top 10 list, and no one had me at put Nemesis on there. But Nemesis is a game, much like Alien the movie. There's an alien on your ship, and you are crew. You woke up. You can't remember the layout of the ship because you were frozen. And the ship's malfunctioning. You need to get yourself to Earth safely. However, there's an alien on the loose. So you and 4 other survivors are trying to fix the ship, navigate to Earth, and safely run away from the alien. But one of you, or 2 of you, you have secret objectives, and you may want other players to die. So it's a bit of semi-co-op. You can't attack other players, but you can lock them in a room with an alien. You can lock them in the room and then do the evacuation procedure. So in 2 turns later, that player gets sucked into space. And
at the airlock. Love it.
Oh, the airlock, yeah. So exactly right. So that's my top 10 game. Absolute blast with this game.
That's a strong start. I think. I did say 3 meeples and a werewolf. We're off to a good start. We'll find out. All right, number 10 for Ralph, Nemesis. Number 10 for Mr. Matt. We'll go to you.
10 for me was Heroes of Land and Sea, or Land, Air and Sea.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone pick that for me?
No, I honestly didn't pick it in your top 10.
I
I didn't know if you liked it that much.
I haven't played that game, actually.
I mean, look, once again, I've invested a fair bit in it, so but no, I do like it. It's we haven't. I think we've only played it, three times.
We've played it 4 times. We've played it twice at 3 players, once at 6, which we will never do again.
Too much, yeah. But it'd be nice to do a 4-player variant just to get one out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an enjoyable game. It's one that has a lot of replayability for me because it's so many characters and different abilities.
I've never played that game. What is it?
Oh, it's like Warcraft on a board game. Really,
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Break it down. It's different races all vying for control of a world and utilizing the natural resources of the place and having to transport each other around and ally and fight each other and stuff like that.
And get your heroes out who have special abilities, and you're trying to dominate each other by doing stuff. So it's basically, if you played Warcraft 3 or any sort of a real-time strategy game, it's for my money one of the closest recreations of that old style of
without
game.
it being a direct rip-off of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's got its own flair to it, and everyone's got their own unique abilities. I think that's why I like it, because there is a lot to explore in it. That's all.
Fantastic. All right, Blake, with your number 10.
All right, my number 10 turned out to be, everyone knows I love my deduction style games. And this is a neat little game called Cryptid, which I've talked about before.
It's on my list.
Cryptid's a deduction game where you've got to find the secret monster's lair, and everyone has their own set of clues, and everyone's in a race to try and find this lair on the map. It's a really neat little game. It's really intuitive with how the board sets up and how you can get many different plays out of the same set of pieces. And it's just a lot of fun. I love that deduction style game, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wasn't on my list.
It was on my list, but I didn't know how high it was. That's why I'm looking at my phone. I've got the lists here at the moment, but I didn't know how high you were going to go.
Nate, what is your top 10, your 10th game?
My top 10 was actually one of my first surprises, because I really didn't expect it to be this high. But Galaxy Trucker made my top 10.
What?
I honestly
How did you pick your top 10 to close your eyes and point at a list?
That's a bit harsh.
I like Galaxy Trucker. I just didn't expect it.
See, the thing is, I come back to, and we've talked about it on the podcast, so Galaxy Trucker is basically a mixture of, it's basically a game where you are creating your ragtag spaceships, and then you send them to do deliveries, whilst hoping that comets and lasers and other things don't come and just knock out that one singular piece that's holding your cargo bay, reactor, and defensive lasers all in one line. And the thing is, I kept every time. So for those of you, we use the Pub Meeple ranking system as our basis, all 4 of us, and then we started to then we made little alterations at the end of it. So big shout out to the Pub Meeple podcast and their ranking engine for this one. But when I looked at my list, this one came out at number 8. Sorry, it came out at number 8, and I went, that feels really high. And I kept looking at everything, and I go,
I would have picked it in your top 20, but top 10 is
the same thing, right? But every time I went, I really enjoyed it. I kept going. I think I can't just keep bumping it down the rankings. I think I've got to trust my ranking. Yeah. So anyway, I just really had so much of a fun time that I spotted it in number 10.
That was in my draft, and it didn't even make my top 10.
I know.
That's a really surprising thing.
Then I'm screwed all around. Don't tell me that now.
They actually just came out with an expansion for it, so it is a reprint already, but they came out with an expansion which just gets more cards and different ship parts as well.
That'd be a lot of fun. I think
so.
That's one of the places it does fall.
There's a lot of cards that miss out, but they all do the same thing, really.
Yeah.
All right, a good first round from everyone there, guys. A good first top 10. I'll start us off with number 9, though, I think. Shaveen, we'll start off with number 9.
Let's circle back.
All right. Number 9 for myself is a word game that we have not played in a while, but still sits there. It is the Decrypto game, the game of Decrypto. This is one of those games that we have not played in a while, but every time it is still my absolute favorite word guessing sort of game at the moment. And for those of you who have never seen it, Decrypto is basically a game where you play in 2 teams and you have been given a code. I believe it's a 3-digit code. And what you need to do is a 4-digit code. That's right. And what you do is every turn you have to get your team members to guess that code. However, you have to give only 1-word clues, and then the other team is listening and writing down all of your clues. So as the game goes on, you'll start to see that there are correlations between all the words that they've been guessing. So you need to be obvious enough that your teammates can guess it, but not obvious enough that it's like, well, if I said wolf, tail, you know, whatever.
Pretty sure we know what the word is.
You're already on the way. After 2 words, you're already on the way to what knowing. Yeah. So every time a clue comes out, you can guess right. And then the way this game becomes fun is because every time the opponents get a chance to guess your code before you do.
Yeah, they can intercept the message.
Exactly right, and that's where the game. So you're trying to be really, you're trying to be, cryptid or cryptic. Sorry, not cryptid, cryptic, without being too cryptic. And it honestly, I love it. It's one of my favorite games. It makes you feel smart, and it makes you can also feel dumb at the same time if you're not. Right.
I've only played that game twice, and I suck at teaching that game, and that's why I've only played it twice. But yeah, I'd love to play that more and more.
So Crypto is my number 9. Then we circle back to Mr. Blake for your number 9.
All right, I think this. I'd like to preface this one and a couple of my picks with. So a couple of these games feature lower on my...
I'm sorry.
well, maybe, depending on. Some of these games are appearing lower on my list just due to the amount of plays and the length of time it's been since I've played them. My tastes we were discussing just before the podcast, our tastes have definitely changed since we started doing this, since we started this podcast. And I think this is a game that's going to feature on most, if not all, lists tonight. It's TI at number 9.
The Twilight
I've
Imperium.
only got one... play of this game, and it was a few years back. We've got another one scheduled up in November, which I'm very, very excited
That's
about.
because you missed the last one that we played.
I did. I had to work, unfortunately, but
just quickly, what is Twilight Imperium?
So Twilight Imperium's this really sort of space epic where you've all got to vie for the control of the galaxy. Everyone gets their own unique race and with unique powers. But the meat of this game really comes from the player interaction and, these little events that come up at the end of each round, which are very, very game breaking and deciding, which everyone has to vote on. And it leads to some very, very contentious moments.
Lucky we still have family and friends at the end of it sometimes.
I don't know how, but here we are.
I had TI as your number 10, so I was close.
You were
very
close.
close.
I'm glad I didn't put any money on this because I'm going to be very poor if I did.
All my mind was laughing at the start because it felt like you were about to say, "Please explain it in 40 words or less." I was like, "Oh god!"
No, in 40 minutes or less.
That's
Pretty succinct though. That was well done.
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sure we'll have our little minute synopsis of it as well.
I'm sure we will. All right, number 9 was Twilight Imperium for Blake. Mr. Ralph. Oh no, Matt. We'll come back to you because Ralph was at the top of the.
Yeah, that's right.
My 9th is Diplomacy.
Oh, I had it outside of your top 10.
Did you?
Yeah, like 12.
It's just, after playing it a couple of weeks ago, it brought back a lot of memories. As we've discussed in previous episodes, it's one of the earliest big games where it wasn't, sitting around a table just moving dice and people around. And so there's a lot of good memories tied to that game. So it beat a lot of things on my list just for that. Because.
And if this is the first time listening to it.
Oh,
what is a game of diplomacy?
It's like TI, but on Earth, really. So vying for control of World War I Europe, and everyone has to submit orders secretly. They're all read out at the end of a round and then resolved, and that resolution is usually where the enemies are made or the alliances are strengthened.
Or revealed.
Very rarely are the alliances strengthened. They are always broken.
I don't think there was a single turn in that game that we played where someone did what they said they were going to
No,
do.
I don't think that ever happens. There's always at least one backstab.
Well, you do at least 50% of what you said you were going to do. Yeah, at least. But
And you have a good cover story for the other 50%.
I love it too. I think it's it's one of those games. It's not in my top 10, but it certainly brings it's.
Don't tell me that, man.
Sorry. Well, maybe it
I'm
is.
so out of whack.
You used to be with it, now they changed what it was.
These top 10.
Oh, all right. We'll go to Ralph.
Yeah.
For your next pick.
My number 9. My number 9 is Architects of the West Kingdom.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys played that game?
I have.
No.
I've played it twice on Tabletop Simulator Club.
It's a worker placement game, which works very much like other worker placement games, where you have a building you want to build, and say that building costs like 2 wood and 2 stone to build it, right? You have like 20 meeples, and you put it in the forest, and it'll get 1 wood. But the next time you put another meeple in the forest, because you got 2 there, you get 2 wood. So if you have 5 meeples there, you put your 6th one, you're going to get 6 wood. That's how you'll gain resources, and that's how on your turn you can build buildings. But you can go to the town center, and you can capture someone else's workers, all of their workers from a particular spot. So say Ralph is spamming wood, you can take all of Ralph's meeples off the board.
Poor Ralph.
And you can put them in prison and you get gold.
Not Ralph. Don't do that to Ralph.
Not to Ralph, but you do it to other players. Yeah. So on your turn is literally putting a meeple, getting the thing, or putting a meeple and building the card. Yep. It plays at 5 players max. I highly recommend it at 5 because it just zips around so quickly. And the combos of the cards, there's not a huge amount of cards, but they all combo extremely well. I've played that game probably 20 or 30 times, and I still haven't worked out a complete well-rounded strategy because there's a lot of combos to be had there.
Yeah, I enjoyed it when I played it too. It was one of those weird games because it was like when someone introduced me to worker placement, but you can put more of the same meeple on the spot. I was like, oh, yeah, that's different. And then all of a sudden it just, I get it. Immediately was kind of like...
Yeah, so you want to spread yourself out. Yeah. So you're like, don't put 6 guys in the forest. You're asking to be captured. So you want to pace your strategy a little bit. But yeah, that was my number 9.
Awesome. All right, so we are already... we're only 2 games of the way through. All right, Blake, we're going to start with you for the next one.
All right.
We're going to go into number 8.
All right, this is another game that I haven't played in a while, but I did manage to get quite a few plays when we were playing it. Great Western Trail. At number 8. This is a neat little Wild West game.
Little? Little, he says.
Well, it was the first game you introduced me to, so I'll say little was my stepping stone.
Yeah, that's true.
It only plays, 2.5 hours?
Yeah, thereabouts 2.5 to 3.
So this game is basically you're trying to build up and sell cows and cattle. On the way you have almost like a monopoly system where you're putting buildings along the route, which if people pass, they have to pay up to
pay the taxes, pay the rent.
So it's a little. I keep saying little, but it's a game where has a lot of deep strategy, a lot of different ways to play the game. I still haven't figured out the best way to play it, but
yeah, I find the most fun I have is just racing to the end. Yes. Like you're just hopping through, and like it's just so rewarding going from A to B, point to point, as it were.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. It really incorporates a whole bunch of different mechanics really well. I think, that's a good pick there as well.
But it's another one of those games which I think would feature higher on my list if we were to play it a couple more times, and more recently, but. Just given how long ago, it was quite a few years ago again. It's lacking a little bit. The memory's not there. The memory's not what it used to be.
Yeah. All right. Great Western Trail at number 8. I'll go next. And my number 8 is one that I've only been introduced to this year. And I am so surprised that it went screaming up as high as that I've only played it this year. And someone at this table introduced it to me at a particular convention that I happen to run every year. And this game is Crokinole at number 8.
Son of a...
And I honestly I put this on the list because I'm like, I can't not put it on the list after the amount of fun I had at GubaCon.
Yeah.
And Crocodile is basically the one, not the world's oldest, but it's like one of Canada's natural game, or like
I think it was 1876 it got invented.
Yeah, it's basically a game of flicking discs, like basically into a hole, and then if you can't flick the discs into the said hole, I say that as Matt takes a sip of tea.
Yeah. It's a little game. It's quite a large game. It's not a little game.
But then it basically becomes like a bumper game, sort of, where if you don't flick it in, you're then trying to knock your opponent's disc off the board. And that's basically the whole game. It's literally one of those games that Ralph brought on, like, yeah, cool, this seems like it'll be fun. And it literally never left the table all of GubaCon.
It's kind of like those smartphone games that are so addicting. It's like simple to learn, hard to master sort of thing.
Yeah, everyone's like, yeah, I can flick that into the center.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You're not as good as you think you are. You're like, why did it go flying to the left? But yeah,
that's why people play golf. It's very easy to play. No, it's actually really not.
No.
But all they do is whack ball, go forward, right? No, that's not how it goes.
I could not believe how much fun I had with that game.
Yeah, it's good.
Just looking at it, I thought, okay, that seems pretty simple on face value. And then these sit down, you have a go, and one flick, two flicks, and then okay.
Yeah, that's right. Now I've got to think about this.
It's the way the scoring is done in that game. It's what makes it really compelling for me.
Definitely.
Yep, so Crocodile is my number 8. All right, moving on, we move to Matt for your number 8.
Number 8 for me was a lovely little pirate game that you introduced me to, Dead Reckoning, which I've had a lot of fun playing. Was fortunate enough, and as has been known throughout this podcast, I struggle with new games when they are played at full capacity. So I was very fortunate to get introduced to Dead Reckoning as just Anthony and I. So I actually had a chance to lose without losing catastrophically and then hating the game straight away. But yeah, a lot of fun to build your armada up and sail around the seas, searching for everything in the Caribbean Ocean. I'm assuming it's going to be on someone else's list.
Maybe, who knows?
Maybe, we'll see.
Nothing given away there.
He's playing coy, look at him.
Yeah.
Ralph.
I haven't played that game yet, so I really want to play Dead Reckoning.
It's one that's it's just a joy to look at as well.
Yeah, it's a very pretty game.
The tactility of it, it's just...
It packs up well. Like, that's a point in its favour every time. Like, it's a neat box.
It was the first board game I've ever seen where on the underside of the top lid, it literally has a diagram telling you where everything goes at the exact same time. And I have said this on a previous podcast, but I just kickstarted the Letters of Marquee expansion, and if it don't fit in that box, they'll be able to pay. So we'll see about that. But that's a good pick. That's a good pick for your number 8. All right, and then Ralph for your number 8.
Yeah. So there's a game called Scythe. However, my number 8 is Scythe: Rise of the Fenris, which is the campaign version of the game.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know if because I've played 2 and I didn't know if I'd split the 2. I just kind of left them as one.
Oh well, this is different because it's not like it's a campaign.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
There's an expansion. It can be broken up, but really you'll play through the campaign before you do that.
It's like 7 games or something?
It's 8 games. So Scythe's already a good game. It's a mix of a worker placement game, area control, and engine building. So it's already got a lot of weird things going for it. And once you get your head around the puzzle and play the base game probably 3 or 4 times, you can jump into the campaign variant of it, which essentially doesn't change a lot, but it gives every game a secret goal. And if we've only played it at 2 players, but the next time I play it, I definitely want to play it at 4 or 5. But each game changes, and it adds a little something here and there, but nothing too overwhelming. You can still just play the base game and ignore the story element, but it's just cool things that happen during the game that really make it. It's a campaign, so you don't ruin the game. You can play multiple at the same time. It's only plays over 8 games, so Scythe's already a solid game, and just adding that to it really stepped it up for me.
It is a relatively short campaign compared to like other legacy sort of games which play in like the double digit sort of thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's not a legacy game. It really is just like a one-shot sort of scenario, and you can play it with multiple groups over the same time. So,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to stick with you. We're going to work our way back down this particular snake, and we're going to go to our number 7, starting with Ralph.
My number 7 game is a massive cooperative game called Spirit Islands.
Oh, I had it higher, Ralph. Oh no, that's. Oh,
You can't do it to me.
I think so. I'll explain why it's not higher shortly. But Spirit Island is a game with a very unique theme to it, where there's like indigenous people on an island, which is your board, and you have your settlers coming onto the island and building cities and towns and spreading disease to the indigenous people. And you play as a god that the indigenous people pray to. So you might be like a beast in the forest, or a giant wave, or the ocean, and each player is a different god, and you have different powers, and you deck build your powers and get stronger during the game. But the evil players, the settlers, they get stronger too. So you constantly spend the game worrying, holy shit, these guys are super powerful. I know I'm getting more powerful, but I don't see it. And then at some point you just win the game because you work together. There's something in co-op games called quarterbacking, where one person goes, well, why don't you do this and you do that? In Spirit Island, that's impossible to happen. You need to work together in order to, otherwise you're going to lose. The reason it's not higher is because it's such a massive game. It's really hard to bring to the table and see it shine. But when I do get it to the table, it shines pretty much every time for me.
It's definitely a game that I really need to try. I hear you talk about it all the time, and that's just sold it for me.
I played it. Ralph introduced it to me, and I've played it now twice with him. And I really felt that. It really does have that kind of pandemic outbreak kind of style, where it's like the settlers will start off small, and then all of a sudden, if you're not taking care, guys, they will literally explode onto the island, and you'll just lose before you even realize you had a chance.
And what's really cool is you can go up against different settlers, so you can go up like against Scotland or England, and then there's different scenarios, and there's even a scenario that makes it that like legacy version of like, okay, well, you were this spirit last game. Now, you can't be that spirit ever again. However, a part of that spirit lives on in you, and you can take a card with you to the next game. And there's so much variance in that game. It's just insane. And there's more expansions coming out for it, which I don't get because it's already a lot.
Yeah, there's basically...
but come on, treat yourself.
Yeah, I've already had that.
All right, Matt, we're coming back to you for your number 7 after a good, strong Spirit Island there.
From one end of the size spectrum to the other... My 7th is a gateway game called Llama Card Game.
Oh!
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to be that high.
Yeah, it crept up the list. We've talked about it, obviously, on the podcast, as it was a gateway game of the week. I think it was episode 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. And I've taken it home. It's a Uno-esque style card game, I suppose, with a far more... interesting point scheme and rule set. Very, very simple to learn. But the reason it's up there is because I took it home and it stayed on the table, and I played it with the twins every time they were there, right? And they've now taught other people how to play the game as well. So it's wormed its way quickly into my heart as being, a solid little game. But worthwhile for any board game enthusiast, I reckon.
Yeah, I found that a lot more fun than, it felt like there was a lot more think into it in my control. I had the cards in front of me and it plays very similarly, but the fact that you could just bow out when you won and take a bit of a point handicap, and it was fantastic, I thought.
Great fun.
I'm surprised to see it that high up the list. I thought there was another gateway game that would be around this point, but I wasn't expecting it to be Llama. But, it's still at your house and it's still not on my shelf, and I think it may be there for a long time, so that's fine by me. All right, we'll move on to my number 7, and my number 7 is a game that I was very happy to have in my collection, and then even happier when a Kickstarter came out about 18 months, giving it an expansion, which we have been able to play at 4, and we've now been able to play at 6. And this game is a game called Lords of Vegas. Lords of Vegas is a game where you are playing as basically a hotel and casino owners on the Las Vegas Strip, trying to make the best casinos, but you roll dice. You have dice, and those dice are basically dictate how powerful and how popular these casinos are. And the game has a lot of really interesting mechanics. Also plays really well. Even when we played at 5 or 6 players, it played fantastically.
It still was good fun, yeah.
We used the Underworld expansion, which added in a little bit of some unique events and stuff, which actually really helped the game a lot. But at its core, it's a game, and I'm very much a person who loves having those silly excuses to... we always play it up hey, come to my casino, because you can go to people's casinos and bet and things. And then we all play mobsters of well, I'm going to try and take over your casino. But then we all start playing it up. And Lords of Vegas, it plays in about 2 hours. It's a game which we have played numerous times. And it really has a special... it really is as fun as you make it, I think. Yeah. And we've had games that have fallen flat when people didn't really get into the theme, but when you get into the theme and people are willing to actually kind of err on the side of the gambling aspect of it, of the luck, it all of a sudden it shines. It shines so much.
I think it's one of those games that it's very heavy. It's very heavily weighted on its theme, like you said, and it plays, the mechanics play off it so well. And as soon as you get into that role and you play it like it's a casino. It really
it's a surprisingly solid game as well. I'm listening to you talk about it now. I'm yeah, you're right. I haven't never had a bad play of the game, but it doesn't register in my mind for whatever reason. But it's just from beginning to end, it's a solid experience. Maybe that's it, because the games that I like are either one end of the spectrum or they have a turn at the end somewhere, where it finally reveals itself. Or is that just... it's an hour and a half of good fun.
I really like it when I think it's the Vegas card just comes up and everyone on the strip just goes, yay, because we're getting paid.
Well, we played a game of that where someone was on the strip. I think it may have been Blake, or someone was on the strip and it didn't pay out for so long. Where's the damn strip card? Because they only had hotels on the strip that weren't paying out. It was hilarious. But Lords of Vegas is my number 7. And to round us out, at number 7, Blake, we'll go to you.
Well, I've had a late change here.
Oh, a late change.
Oh, wow. Scratching.
I was just looking at my list and I realised, what, I'm going to have to swap those around. But I've got here at number 7, Blood Rage. I really enjoyed playing this game. It was a lot of fun. Not sure how it goes at multiple plays, but it's a Viking themed game where you got to control areas. You got armies, you've got deck building.
You spawn big monsters.
That's definitely
yeah.
I love those big big monster figurines. They really look good. Tactility is a big number for me when it comes to games.
There's one of those games I was jealous that I didn't get to play at GubaCon. When I watched you guys play it, I'm like, oh, I wanted to play that game.
Is that the one that you were playing here in the Dead Center room?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that now.
But this is the strategy that I love in the game is the strategy where you kill all your units, which I'm exceptional at. So.
I love the snappiness of that game because, say Blake's got 5 warriors there and I've got my 1 monster, but we have to play an action card, which is just essentially another thing you do in the battle. So it could be a thing that makes sure I lose the battle or make sure I win the battle, and it's just really quick.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Get a play at that.
And now for our number 6 to round out the first half of our top 10 list. We're going to start with Matt. We're going to start with you for this one, and then work our way around. So, start us off with your number 6 pick.
Having a look through my list, I certainly like themes. I like big themes. And number 6 comes in with a rolling dice town.
Oh, yeah. I had it up there.
Yeah?
I had it in your top 10, yeah.
Every time we've played this game, it's a bit of a Yahtzee roll under the cup and spreading your dice around the town to make the most of, what the town has to offer, I suppose. In the West, it's just a lot of fun. And once again, put the accents on, have a bit of a lark with it. There's a bit of luck. There's a little bit of strategy. It's not overly adversarial. I was only just thinking before, it'll be really good at the end of this to look at everyone's list and go, yeah, you're the prick of the group because you like the adversarial groups, and I'm the softy of the group because I don't like the adversarial games. And I think that's probably it.
Is your number one Hello Kitty?
I will not reveal that until number one. Thank you.
I do like Dice Town. I do like a lot of the interaction comes from you're building out a poker hand, and those poker hands obviously of dice, so poker dice. You're building out a poker hand, and each of those dice represent one of the main buildings you can go to. So do you have the most queens? You can go there and whatnot. And so it comes from you watch a player. And you're like, oh, I just rolled 2 queens. I'm going to bank some queens. And then Matt on his next roll goes, I have 3 queens now. And you're like, get off the queens. What are you doing?
Now I'm going to roll myself out of this.
And so then all of a sudden you have to do that. So there is a lot of fun to be had in Dice Town. It is very indicative of, it's one of those games that always gets played at GubaCon and every time gets played because you're just like...
There's also a game that I made the advertisement for. We did a year where... You, myself, and Georgie all made little 2-minute advertisements for the games we were going to play,
cool.
and I did an advertisement for Dice Town.
It was hilarious.
It was a lot of fun.
I've never played Dice Town. It sounds really cool.
It was good fun. I spent a day where I should have been working, creating an advertisement for a board game tournament that my cousin holds every year. Well worth the money from my company that year, I think.
Didn't you say your boss listens to this?
No. This was a long time ago.
Okay.
It was before this company.
He's covered this one.
This was I know which company this was.
I was shafting the Catholics at that time. Wait a minute.
That's going to be in the newspapers tomorrow. I just can see it.
Can we go back?
No. All right, I'll go next for my...
Yeah, don't leave Matt shafting the Catholics.
It's normally
That's my number 5.
All right, I'll go my number 6. My number 6 is a game that I don't think any of you three have played at this table, but correct me if I'm wrong here. This is a game that I want to play with us because I think it would go down so well. This is a game called Treasure Island.
I have played that.
You have played it? Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So Treasure Island is basically it's a semi-cooperative asynchronous game where you have one team of players who are trying to find a buried treasure that Long John Silver, one of the other players, has put somewhere in this map. And the game becomes literally, you have whiteboard markers and a whole bunch of random tools and things that you are going to use on the map and draw on the map. So you have compasses and things, and you have clues, and so you're literally going through the board, trying to literally circle a part of the map where the treasure has been buried. And the treasure, if you're playing as Long John Silver, it is honestly I played it as Long John, and it is easily one of the best gaming experiences outside of the next top 5 that I've had, because you were literally sitting there watching people move their character over your treasure and hoping to God they don't circle 1 inch lower, because you're literally watching them, because as soon as they circle it, the game's over. But where the game shines is that as Long John Silver, you get to give them clues. So for example, it's not north of Blake, for example. So Blake's character will then go, right, he will literally go onto the board and scribble, it's not in that area, and you watch them, the net close in and close in. But where the game, so you're trying to give them clues that don't help them, but at the end of the game, if they get to a specific turn and they haven't found it, you're released from jail and you win as Long John if you can get to your buried treasure first. So but the thing is, only one of their team can win. So they may want to share information, or maybe not. We don't know. Did I give you the right information? Maybe the treasure's not over there. And so for that, Ralph, you said you've played it, but did you play as Long John or as...
No, I played as one of the people investigating it. I only played it the once, and we're still learning the game as we played it, and it was very interesting, but it felt like it was a bit finicky on the rules, so I do need to relearn it before we give it another go. But it does look like a game that will be great in the right group.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we've got a great group here. All right, so number 6 for me was Treasure Island. Blake, to you.
So this is again another one of the games I haven't played too recently, but my number 6 is going to be Brass.
Oh,
which one?
Birmingham,
right?
Which one?
I mean,
the question is that.
Well, look, we know, but the people at home probably don't know.
So what is Brass Birmingham, Blake?
Well, I'm probably not the best one to explain this. It's been quite a while. I mean, I barely remember any of the... If you asked me any of the rules, I probably wouldn't remember. All I remember of the game is that you trading certain resources like beer, boxes, things like that. You're creating routes between cities.
Boxes. I love boxes. You are trading boxes.
You're trying to create routes between the cities and deliver between cities. Is that
Yep.
right? Yeah.
You're building networks between the cities.
Yeah.
And you're trying to sell the goods.
Can sell goods, yeah.
All that sticks with me this game is the massive headache that I had after.
And that's why it's number 6.
Like I
Not
said
number
at the
5.
start of my list, everyone knows I love a good thinking game, and more than the rules and the actual gameplay, the experience and the feeling that game left for me has stuck with me and left quite an impression. I really think this game has the potential to be a lot higher on my list if we can just get it to the table.
I had it as number 5 for you, so
well played.
pretty close there. But
That's 2. You've got me within 1.
yeah, I'm
You're doing well.
yeah. I didn't write the very many for you, so I'm glad the ones I did write I'm getting close to.
All right, and so Bryce Birmingham, and then for number 6 for Ralph to close us out in the first half.
Yeah, so Nee mentions like board game experience. This next board game is definitely an experience. It is Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Oh, 1, okay, cool.
Yeah, I have Season 0, I haven't played it yet, but so Pandemic is already a solid gateway game. If you haven't played it yet, highly recommend you give it a go. But after you play it a bunch and you're over it and you're smashing it and you're winning it every single time, definitely get Pandemic Legacy Season 1. It is the same game. You play it over the course of 1 year in the game. You go like one game is January, February, and so on. And when you finish the end of the year, that box is over. You essentially can put that box in the bin. You're done. You can never play it again. But it starts out in January as Pandemic, and then as the game goes on, it gets harder, and then little things change. Little new rules come in. But what's really cool is you have your same characters as were in the base game. You have your dispatcher, your medic, and things like that. But you give them names, you give them relationships. So me and Blake could be brothers in the game, and then we get a boost if we're in the same city at the start and things like that. So little things happen in the game that add to it. And it was definitely an experience that I feel like every board gamer should have.
It's one of those legacy games that I keep looking at going, maybe I should buy it. And I'm like, no, I really should buy this game. I do know what the mid-game twist is for I think Season 1, because I read it somewhere, which I won't say that, but it made me go, like, I've played Risk Legacy as well. And the first time that it literally says, take this card that you didn't pick, tear it up and throw it in the bin. You're like, but I paid money for this game. What do you mean? Throw it in the bin.
And legacy games are very much like that. I just finished Betrayal Legacy as well, and just giving cards to someone who's never played a legacy game before, and you're like, just rip it. They're like, what? What do I do? I'm like, just destroy it. We don't need it anymore.
We're not going to play with it ever. But what if we want to? Too bad.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal, that one.
I've never played a legacy game, but it's a concept that really intrigues me, and I really need to.
I think that's what we should do in this group. We buy a copy of Season 1 and we just play it.
Yeah,
I think that would be amazing.
I think, or we could. You did say you had Season 0. I mean,
I do. But that's a prequel. Let's do Season 1 first.
Yeah, Season 0. Cool. All right, and so that's going to bring us to the top. That's our 50%. So Matt, you've been taking the notes down. Do you want to read us out everyone's list for the 5 at the moment, and we'll just as a recap.
So Blake had 10 to 6. Cryptid, Twilight Imperium. Great Western Trail was number 8, yeah?
Yes, correct.
Blood Rage, Brass Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
Neva had Galaxy Trucker as number 10, which took us all by surprise.
It took me by surprise. Don't worry about you.
Decrypto, Crokinole, Lords of Vegas, and Treasure Island. And Ralph's got Nemesis, Architects of the West Kingdom, the Scythe Campaign. Mm-hmm. Two campaigns in your top 10. Well, so far, and Spirit Island, and then Season 1 of Pandemic. So that's
you.
Oh, and me. Oh yeah. What did I have? It's on a different piece of paper. Hang on.
Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty.
I can see.
Wise guy,
The adversarial one is
hello.
well pegged. Heroes of Land, Air and Sea, Diplomacy, Dead Reckoning, Llama, and Dice Town for me.
See, I don't think Ralph is the werewolf. I think he's the minion. He's taking too much heat.
It's so weird, because you've got Llama and things, and then you've got Diplomacy. Yeah. It's such a vast spectrum there.
Oh yeah.
Wait till the twins play that.
That's right.
They're teaching people already.
First rule of Diplomacy: always move your llama into the back door of Russia.
And trust no one.
Exactly right. Oh, okay. So that's the top. That's the top five. Sorry, not the top five.
The
That's
bottom
10.
fives.
That's the bottom five. That's 10 through 6 for each of us.